Hi, I'm Dr. George Yancey. Let's share some paradigms. Paradigm I share today is identity politics and multiracial churches. About 15 years ago, I did a lot of research on multiracial churches. It was an area of topic that I was really interested in part because being in interracial relationships and hanging out with people of different races, I wanted to worship in a space where I and my friends were comfortable, that we could go to. So it was not the all-black experience. It was not the all-white experience. It was a multiracial experience. And what I can tell you is that we've seen a growth of multiracial churches. When I was doing research 15, 20 years ago, about 8% of our churches were multiracial, defined as no more than 80% of any given racial group in a church. Now it's about 20%, and it's rising. And I count this as a good thing. And in my research, I wanted to know what was a healthy multiracial church. Not one that just was sort of people were existing, but they were actually thriving together. And we did research and we learned many things about what made a healthy multiracial church. I believe healthy multiracial churches have something to teach us as far as the Christian community, as far as our political activism, and as far as identity politics. One of our findings was that multiracial churches use larger goals to unite. For example, there's a church that their larger goal was to evangelize the city. The city is multiracial. Therefore, they concluded they must become multiracial to evangelize the city. There are churches that their goal was to serve the community. A lot of these times, these are Catholic churches. The concept is the parish. And thus, when their parish was diverse, they realized they need to become diverse. Once they have this larger goal, then they are willing to make the sacrifices necessary to achieve that goal and to become multiracial. Rarely, I won't say never, but rarely was there a church that said, our goal is to become multiracial, therefore we're going to become multiracial. The goal was something else, larger than itself. And this brought people of different races, different cultures together. Bringing people together is a key feature of multiracial churches. And the ones that are healthy do a great job of it. We have a lot we can learn from this. Identity politics. And I've done plenty of videos on identity politics. So, I'm going to make some statements. I'm not going to try to back them up right now, but I've other videos that do that. Identity politics is about us and them. Oppressor and oppress. Identity politics is about doing politics for the sake of a particular group and not caring or not emphasizing what happens to other groups. If it's good for your group, that's fine. If others suffer, especially if we define them as oppressors, so be it. That's the way it should be. That's justice. This is true for identity politics on the left and the right. And I'm careful when I look at this, I examine it on the left and the right. Oppressors oppress. You cannot operate a multiracial church that way and it be healthy. We're saying to part of your congregation, you're oppressors, and we don't care about your perspective. You're just here to serve those who have been oppressed. Multiracial churches are not built on that sort of logic for good reason. You alienate major groups in your congregation is not going to stay multiracial. So why is it in identity politics we think we can alienate people and still have a successful long-term political movement? Just think about that. Considering, do you like this video? Consider liking this video or subscribing to this channel to help build this sort of channel. Just think about doing that, all right? Okay, we can learn about multiracial churches on how we can come together. The way multiracial churches come together is that they identify larger goals and they work together. They have a vision on that goal and they bring people in. They're able to overcome differences because the goal is so great. So if you have as a goal to certain political achievements that you think are going to be better for everyone, you can bring people in. But if your goal is simply to benefit your group, that doesn't really work out. And you may think there would be multiracial churches that are doing that, but they're not. They may have a goal, hey, we're going to serve this community, which is mostly African Americans. We're going to serve African Americans. But even those churches eventually find ways to learn how to adjust to the different non-blacks coming in and to meet their needs so that they can stay in the battles, stay in the service, stay in ministry with the African Americans in that community. Considering the needs and wants of other groups is vital. And it's not just being selfless, it's vital to keep them invested. And you may say, well, they should do it just because it's right, but that's not the way people work. And the danger of that is you get so obsessed on this group you want to serve that you actually begin to marginalize and to actually harm those who are not in your group. Multiracial churches operate on bringing people in, allowing dialogue. This is an interesting aspect. Multiracial churches, your ethnic identity actually can sometimes become even more pronounced. There's research showing that among Asian ethnics, those in multiracial churches actually feel their ethnicity more, perhaps in contrast to non-Asians than those in only Asian churches. So it's not denying of looking at your group or your ethnicity, but it is a willingness to look out to the needs of others. Identity politics divides us. Multiracial churches cannot be divided. If they do, then they cease to be a multiracial church. They go off and become the black church, the white church, the Hispanic church, the Asian church. Identity politics divides us. And thus, we should take more of a multiracial church model where we unite around a goal that will eventually serve everyone rather than an identity politics model of oppressor and oppress. We Christians, we don't have to live in this sort of setting of oppressor or oppress. We have these great examples of how to move beyond that with our multiracial churches. And so if you have an opportunity to go visit multiracial church, please do. Think about what it takes to bring people of different racial groups together in a voluntary organization. And those of you who are active in consider Christian identity politics, consider whether there could be a better way to reach your goal than focusing on this sort of Christian identity politics, where we concentrate on building Christians and not think about other individuals that we want to bring in. We want to evangelize them. We want to bring them in and meet their needs as well. Well, I hope this has been useful to you. And if it is something to think about, please come back. We can shatter some more paradigms.